name's Kate Kalthoff and welcome to a Stamping to Share video. Today I'm going to share with you a stamp set called Helping Me Grow. You can find it on page 20 of our Spring Occasions 2016 Stampin' Up! Catalog. And the card we're going to make looks just like this. We are using just two colors of ink. We're using the Tuxedo Black Memento ink and the Pear Pizzazz ink, and we're actually stamping instead of on white or vanilla or shimmery white, we're actually stamping on our craft paper from Stampin' Up! And I think that just gives it such a pretty, more kind of a vintage look. And then of course the inside is blank because this is a thank you card. So let's go ahead and get started and I'll teach you how to create this card. So the first thing, of course, that we are going to need is a base paper for our card, and this is 5.5 by 8.5 scored at 4 1/4. The color is Pear Pizzazz, and it is in our Subtles family. So I'm just folding along the score line. I'm going to give it a quick press with my bone folder so that this card will lie flat while we work with it. And we're just going to do a little bit of stamping on the inside. So let me go ahead and get that out of the way. To do our inside stamping, and then a little bit of that is going to be stamped on the outside of the card, we are using a stamp set called Timeless Textures. And it looks like this, and this is the little texture that I'm going to use here. So I'm going to do tone on tone stamping. So I'm going to use my Pear Pizzazz ink, and then we are just going to take that stamp and we're going to just stamp one up here, and then we'll stamp one, maybe two down here. So look how soft that is. I just love that. So the inside panel is done. So now let's go ahead and work on the outside panel. As I mentioned, our outside panel is going to use some of our 12 by 12 craft paper, which I've cut down to fit on the front of our card. So this is cut at 4 by 5 1/4, and this is the panel we're going to do our stamping on. And because the particular stamp set that we're using, called Helping Me Grow, which looks like this, the stamps in this are photopolymer, and whenever you have photopolymer stamps, you want to be sure that you're stamping on a stamp mat. So Stampin' Up! Sells a stamp mat, and it looks like this. And I'm just going to put my scrap paper right over the top of that stamp mat because that will give me just a little bit of cushion. So we're going to turn it this way because this is a fairly tall stamp. And the stamp that we're going to use are these beautiful flowers, and we're just going to go ahead and ink that up with our Tuxedo Black Memento ink. Now I would never use archival or nor would I ever use Stays on Black on this photopolymer stamp. The reason is, and I mean if you want to you can, but the reason that I won't is because I don't want my stamps to be permanently stained. And so I know that if I'm using our Tuxedo Black Memento ink, our stamps will stay fairly see-through. So I'm just going to set this here, and I'm setting it very close to this edge over here because I want to leave enough room for a piece of paper on this left side. So I'm just going to give it a nice press straight down, and then when we lift it up, we have our beautiful flower image. And the next step is to go ahead and we're going to set that little strip of paper down here on the left side. So that paper strip is 1/2 inch by 5 1/4 inches, and it comes from the Wildflower Fields, which is a Sale-a-bration paper pack. When you purchase at least $50 on your order, well actually for every $50 increment on your order you get to pick a Sale-a-bration item. This is one of the Sale-a-bration items, and it's very colorful on one side. You can see as I page through here there's a lot of color on one side of the paper, and then on the other side of the paper we have a lot of whites, a lot of very pretty kind of white backgrounds that you can use on your darker cardstock. So what I did is I took one of those strips of paper from that paper pack. We're going to go ahead and we're just going to put this on the left side of our card. So I'm going to use some multi-purpose liquid glue, and I'll just put a tiny little strip of glue along this side of the paper. And then I'll set it down, and I'm going to leave just a tiny little bit of the craft showing on the left side. So give that a little push. One reason I love using the multi-purpose liquid glue is I could just wiggle that into place. Now we're going to stamp our thank you up here on the top left. So again, I'm going to ink up my clear photopolymer stamps with Tuxedo Black Memento ink. So I'm going to stamp the thank right here and then the U right underneath it. And we'll put that right here. Perfect. So here is where we're at with our card. Now we're going to add a little bit of color because right now it looks a little bit dull and we want to brighten that up. And so I'm going to bring this ink back into the picture. It's our Pear Pizzazz. And I did find that when I used a sponge dauber, it was just a little too big to give me an accurate color on the flowers. And so then the next best thing for better accuracy, if you cannot use a sponge dauber for that, is just take an ordinary Q-tip. So we're just going to take our Q-tip and get it nice and wet in our ink pad over here. And then we're going to bring it over to our flowers and we're just going to swirl some color onto the flowers. So I'm just putting some of this Pear Pizzazz ink right in the center of these flowers. And then I'm going to ink up the other side and we're just going to kind of swirl some of that color up into the actual flower petals. You can see what I'm doing here. I'll give you a close-up once I have this done. All right, so here's the close-up. Doesn't that just add so much life to these flowers? Now the next thing we want to do is we're going to go ahead and stamp a little bit of our Timeless Textures down here at the bottom. That will coordinate with the inside, and it sort of makes this flower look like it has some leaves down here at the bottom. And so we have that part of our card now complete. And now all we have left to do is add a ribbon wrap. So to do that, I'm going to use some Pear Pizzazz 1/4 inch cotton ribbon. And you can find this on page 159 of our annual catalog. And so I'm just going to add a strip down here, and I like to secure that with a little bit of Scotch tape. And then once I have that taped down, I'm just going to add a little wrap. So I just took another piece of the Pear Pizzazz ribbon. And this is so nice to work with. I tell you, cotton ribbon is just lovely. So we're just going to add a little tie on down here. And then I'll take my ribbon scissors, which is actually our craft scissors from Stampin' Up. And you can use it for all sorts of things. But I've dedicated this just to ribbon cutting. And now this is ready to go onto the front of our card. So again, I'm just going to use some multi-purpose liquid glue, and we're just going to put a line of glue all the way around our card. And then we'll add it to the front. Just like so. So beautiful, wouldn't you agree? Here's the card that I just finished, and here's the card I had done for you in advance. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you're interested in ribbon shares with me, I do have Stamping to Share Perfect Ribbon Shares, and this is our 1/4 inch cotton ribbon. If you're not sure if you want an entire roll of 10 yards, you can get 2 yards each of each color. So have a great day. I truly appreciate you. Remember, it's celebration time through March 31st, so this is a great time to make those product purchases from Stampin' Up! And get something free at the same time. If you need a demonstrator, please visit my website at www.stampintoshare.com. Have a great day. I truly appreciate you. Bye-bye.